All right, over to our experts to introduce themselves.
We
Um,
do it alphabetical order.
Perfect.
can
Go
I,
ahead, Ali.
can you do me a favor, Nicole? Just because I'm not co-host, can you share the link to this session in the chat? Because I have some people that are messaging me that they haven't received. They registered, but they haven't received the link.
Okay, there were a few emails that bounced.
Oh, great. Okay, so well, not great, but if you can share it,
Yeah,
I'll text it to them. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay.
Good. So, no, ladies first. So, Katrina or Joy, go ahead.
Absolutely. Hello, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Katrina Jahadadoun, and I'm currently in Switzerland. I'm in Geneva, Switzerland. I work at Ecolent as the head of institute of our learning and teaching, and I consider all of us as educators experts. My background has been in education for many years, over 10 years. I'm a global educator, and I have been in the classroom, whether it's from preschool to grade three. I've been a PYP coordinator, instructional coach, a vice principal, and a school leader, a principal. And I just love ensuring that learning sticks with our students. And I'm really happy to be here today to answer any questions you may have. So, welcome, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Joy Marchese. I'm the founder of Positive Discipline UK, and I'm a lead trainer for the Positive Discipline Association and a trainer for TBR and assessor for the Bridge Assessment. I have been an educator for 25 plus years. It's hard for me to say 30, but it is. Um, and I started my career in early years. I've taught primary, middle, secondary, all the way up through adults. My last full-time teaching position was at the American School in London, where I taught secondary school for 10 years and did parent education and was head of the well-being K through 12. So I have been in your shoes for a very, very long time. I have taught in public schools, private schools, jails. So in many, many, many different areas in the United States and abroad. And now I'm very lucky that I get to travel around the world as a global educational consultant and learn with tremendous educators from international schools all over the world. So thank you for being here.
And so I'm Ali. So excited to be with all of you. Started as a French teacher long time ago in Lebanon. Currently, I'm based in Dubai. I'm known for being trilingual. I speak in French, in English, and in Arabic. And I'm an IB lead educator. So many people, they know me as a PYP workshop leader. I had a great opportunity to meet Joy maybe 10 years ago in Doha, in Qatar, where we started introducing positive discipline in the region, and our collaboration continued during all these years. And again, in the IB world, I had a chance to visit several times Katrina's school in Rwanda to train the teachers about the IB in French. And recently, I was trained by GP in the UK after COVID. And then, of course, I had a chance to meet Nicole. So I'm so happy to be here in this TBR festival. And hopefully, all the participants are going to enjoy the session. Ask Me Anything.
All right, thank you. Let's give you about a minute or so to finish up your questions, put them in, and then I'll check to see if we need a bit more time. If you're having any issues with Slido, please drop your question into the chat. I'll add it.
Yeah, the title of the session is very interesting. Ask me anything, but we want to make sure you're asking things about education and classroom and training.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ali.
Oh, wow. I'm loving the questions.
Yeah. Okay, if you could give me a reaction if you're ready to go. So a quick thumbs up, a hearts, or a message in chat if you've had enough time. If not, I see a couple reactions here. See some over there. Let's see how we're doing. All right, I'm seeing some thumbs up. So let's start. So the first one here has 5 votes on it. How do you prevent chaos when students talk, move, and engage in activities? So I will hand that over to the panel to take a crack at that.
Joe, you are on mute.
Ali, what would we do without you? I would like to answer that based on some things that Ali did yesterday with us. If any of you were in Ali's session yesterday, when he put us into breakout rooms, he did something really important. Was anyone here yesterday, and do you remember what he did? You can come off mute. It was a really helpful strategy to keep.
They can also put it in the chat if they don't want to open the mic. So what did I do yesterday before you went to breakout room?
How can you be firm yet loved? Okay.
This is a question. Yeah. Tell me how much time we had. So I was, yeah.
He was very clear with the instructions. But when you think about keeping kids engaged and on task, think about what Ali did. And many of you were not here yesterday, and that's okay. But I know a couple of you were. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Amy. Okay, he gave roles. And I don't know if you remember all the roles, but just to give you some examples, he said one person's going to be the group leader, facilitator. One person's going to be the timekeeper. One person's going to be the scribe. One person's going to be the speaker. Everyone had roles. And when you give them roles and you give them opportunities to contribute, they have buy-in, they're engaged. So that's just a management technique that really helps. The other thing is, can you read the question again? Because you said 2 really important things there. Nicole,
So Nicole.
Oh, how do you prevent chaos when students talk, move, and engage in activities? In TBR, we want them talking, moving, and engaging. So we don't want to stop the talking, moving, and engaging, right? We want to keep them going. But how do you prevent that chaos? We give them roles. And the other thing is, you're walking around. You're just walking around. Your presence is known. You're not interrupting. You're not telling them what to do. You've already given them clear instructions. You might engage with a question. If you notice that they're off task, you might throw a question out there. And I was so happy when I saw this question because I did a TBR 2 weeks ago. And my group, we have a WhatsApp group, and just yesterday, one of them said, Joy, I did concept centers, but the kids were not staying on task. So this is a really common thing that happens, and it takes a little bit of practice. But if the activities are really engaging and you don't keep them at the centers too long, right? They're moving, they have 8 minutes. There's a timer. Using a timer, a visual timer is really helpful. And you kind of get it like, okay, who's ready? It's fun, it's exciting for them to move. So I'll stop talking and see if Katrina and Ali want to add to that.
Yes, thank you, Joy. Very clear. I mean, with TBR, we know it's quite fun. It's interactive. Students are participating. Adults are participating. It's a lot of fun. And I would say if you keep a routine, then students also they have those indicators of when to move on and when to stop, when to switch, when to transition into a new activity. Imagine if we were all on this call every single day. We would know to put in our questions into slide. We would know who would go first with introducing ourselves. We would understand kind of like the routine. So the more and more you teach through TBR with those skills and those tools within the classroom, then the students are able to kind of jump on board and understand when it's time to transition into another activity. And I would also say, keeping track. I like when Joy said, rotating around the room, and ensuring that kids are staying on task. I was actually facilitating a PD session using our TBR skills on Monday with adults, and phones were out. They were getting sidetracked with their phones, and I would kind of bring them back with incorporating technology into TBR as well. So if you do feel as though the students are off track, or maybe they're having side conversations, try to ask questions like Joy said, rotating around, but incorporating some of the things that they may be distracted with, and say that's a great topic. How do we tie this into the current learning? So that's what I would add, and I agree with everything that Joy said. Ali, do you have anything?
Yes, so Joy mentioned giving role. Katrina mentioned consistency. I will go back to the first step. And yesterday we unpacked it with GP about safety and respect. So when I create a safe environment where respect is mutual, then the chaos will be more under control. And then sometimes we're looking also for this chaotic moment inside the classroom. And when we balance it, the group work, the energy, the interaction, and then this moment of silence and the moment of reflection, the moment of the meditation, the brain break. And this is from my side.
Great, thank you. All right, the next question is, what about the amount of preparation time to teach with activities and engaging techniques?
If you don't mind, I would love to tackle this one. As we've all been there, definitely time constraints. We all have them. And I would say what has helped me, especially in the classroom and even as an educator facilitating PDs with adults, is using the same resources and tools. Oftentimes, I'll laminate some of my materials. I'll have them, I'll plan them quite early and be able to reuse them over and over again. But another one of my favorites that I would like to share is, of course, what we all do with TBR is we create our own as the learners, right? So having students create their own materials, their resources, giving them that responsibility of keeping track of their tools and resources, so you can refer back to them, and you can say things like, please pull out your, charts from last week, where they have them stored in a little folder. I'm really big on sustainability, so I really don't like to use a lot of paper over and over again. So just having some type of method within your classroom to ensure that you're recycling those resources that you're using, ensuring that students are able to create their own, as well as using some digital tools as well. And those we know that this time of AI right now is really exciting, and you're able to use different types of resources where it really does cut down your planning time.
Good. So let me add to Katrina. I would like to add the whole idea of collaboration. And so when we are collaborating, we gain time. So imagine Joy, Ali, and Katrina are preparing together for an event for this weekend. And then we divide the task. We say, Joy, you're preparing the first two sessions. Katrina, you're preparing session 3 and 4. I'm preparing session 5 and 6. And so this is a must in an IB school, but maybe we have people who are not in IB schools where we still keep our things for ourselves. And so sharing and collaborating with others, this is a great idea, because when you're collaborating, time will fly. And will fly in a positive way. It's like being really in the task, enjoying the task, and again, having fun, because we are all obliged to go to work, right? It's like we're getting our salaries, we're getting our living from this work. So let's go and enjoy it. And so this kind of a dynamic and this kind of perspective will bring a different perspective to time. Joy, what would you like to add?
I would love to add a little bit about that. Yes, there is, in all honesty, there is more front loading as far as preparation. And when I think about preparing for my first TBR workshop, oh my gosh, right? And Katrina, I'm really with you with the sustainability. I try to save paper and I try not to laminate too much. However, I laminate when I know I'm going to use something over and over and over. It's a pain to do that lamination, but you know what? In the end, it's really worth it when I know that I'm going to use it. And so that front loading preparation, although it takes me, listen, the fact is, you're going to need time to prep, right? Like there's going to always be prep time. However, when I think about well-being and teacher burnout, and I think about how much I work with educators about challenging behaviors in the classroom and, disengaged students and, chaos that comes from disruptions, when we invest our time in that preparation, in the planning with the 4 C's, in the preparation of the materials, you know what happens in the classroom? You are literally teaching from the back of the room, like meaning you are turning it over to them. And, again, it's not that Ali and I didn't talk about like promoting IB. However, that is a huge part, right? Of what we're expected to do in the classroom is getting the kids to work independently, but collaborate together. And I recently was able to step out of my workshop for 30 minutes because I had to deal with something. And my participants, yes, they were adults, but they were all educators. And I said, these are your 2 activities. I trust you. You got this. And I came back 30 minutes later and I said, how'd we do? They go, we just finished the second activity. And the big learning from that on their end was, oh my gosh, this is what we want for our students. We want to be able to, if an emergency happens, step away and our students are independent and they know the routines and they're able to do it. And so all of that preparation beforehand means you can sit back and have your cup of tea and just watch the magic happen in your classroom. So you're a calmer teacher. Your classroom is fun and engaged and calm. So you're going to have to put the effort in somewhere, right? So it's where do you want to put the effort in?
All right, thank you. I love that highlight of the community, reusing things, leaning on each other, sharing resources. That is something that can definitely cut time along with all the other things that were mentioned. So, Joy, you wanted to every so often get us to move. So I'll hand that over to you while I look at the next question.
Okay. And this is a big thing. We're here 20 minutes already. And you're sitting and you're listening. And you're here because you're interested. That doesn't mean that you're not starting to fade off, right? And so we're gonna get up and move. I don't know. I didn't plan an activity, but let's do this. You're gonna need actually, this might be hard for some people. I'd like you all to put this on gallery view for a moment. And I am going to ask you, just for this activity, if you can, I'm going to ask you 2 things. Can you please stand if possible, unless you're driving, please don't do that. And can you turn on your cameras? Because we need to see each other for this. So if you're comfortable, if you're not operating heavy machinery or driving a car, please stand and turn on your cameras. Okay.
Let's remind them they have the right to pass if they
Of
don't
course,
want to.
they always have the right to pass for safety. We know that. And I appreciate how many of you are saying, okay, I'm going to do this. No one's looking at the home, or, some of you, it's later in the day. You might be in your pajamas. It's okay. We're not going to be looking and judging each other. Okay. So this activity is called Mean Face, Funny Face, Jump. I know it sounds so silly, doesn't it? So I want everyone right now, I just want you to make your meanest face, like make a mean face. What would your mean face look like? Yeah, Diane, I'm with you. We have a similar mean face. Okay. Now, I happen to be looking at you. I'm like, yes. Okay. Now I want you to make your silliest face, like silly. Any silly face. JP, this is so hard for you. Come on, make a silly face. All right. So now what happens is this is cool on Zoom because in person, you're actually going to have a partner, and in person, you would stand back to back and you would have a partner. On Zoom, no one knows who their partner is. You get to choose. So right now, you're going to choose someone on the screen. They don't have to know who they are. You're just going to choose someone. And what we're going to do is in a moment, we're going to turn around. We're going to turn our back to the camera. Just watch me first. So we all turn, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. And on three, you turn and jump, and you make either the mean face or the funny face. And you try to match with your partner. So, Katrina, would you demonstrate with me just to make sure this is clear? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Katrina and I are partners.
Mhm.
We're both going to turn around. And Katrina, when I say three, you jump and turn and you make one of the faces. We're going to try to match. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
1, 2, 3. Oh, see, we match. And that's okay. We're not getting points or anything like that. Each time we turn around, you can choose the same partner or a different one. It doesn't matter. We'll do this a couple of times. Oh, Amel, I love that you have a partner in person. That's awesome. You get to do this together. Okay, everyone turn around on three. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, again, turn around. 1, 2, 3. Katrina, I'm really trying with you. Okay, one more time. One more time. Turn around. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That was in between.
Okay, everyone can sit back down. So, what I'm noticing is I'm seeing some smiles on people's faces. I'm just seeing some smiles. Just notice how you feel after doing that activity. Just notice how you feel. Are you feeling a little bit more connected to the group? Are you feeling a little bit more energized because you just got up and moved? Okay, and it doesn't have to take much. So that's an energizer, but it's also a connector. So you can build classroom coherency, you can build connections, you can build cohesion in your classroom, and you can get the blood flowing. Okay, so there you go. Now, okay, good. Now you have an activity to use in your classrooms. So I think we're going to move on to another question. And I'm noticing also, Nicole, there are some questions in the or comments in the chat. And if people, when we answer a question, if you still need more information, just please raise your hand. We're happy to hear. This is not about us talking. This is about all of us sharing and learning from each other. Okay.
All right, so here's the next one, very appropriate. How do you manage noise levels during interactive activities, and how do you handle groups that finish early? So this is kind of a two-part. So noise levels and finishing early.
Good. So if I can go ahead and give some ideas. In many classrooms, we have a kind of a nice poster where it shows the level of the noise, and then the teacher play with that. So you can go this task where we need to be silent. This task, the noise level is 3, and this task you can really be noisy. So a kind of I'm trying to find the name in a scientific way, thermometer, those kind of things. So the sound meter. The other option is we all know that sometimes having a music in the background, a nice concentration in music, noise-o-meter. Yes, thank you, GP, in the chat. So having a music in the background, and you tell the student, I just want to hear the music. So which means you're really working with a controlled noise. And in my opinion, noise equal life. I want them to be alive. Good. So with this movement, Joy, what would you like to add? You're on mute. Yeah.
Okay. No, you know what? Ali, I appreciate that you said that because very often people worry about noise in a classroom and they worry, educators, this is what educators tell me. They worry that if they're teaching and the principal walks in to see and it's too noisy, it's going to be a problem. And I'm kind of the opposite. When I go in, because I do a lot of observations in schools and feedback and coaching with educators, and when I go into a classroom, unless those students are doing an assessment or they're reflecting and writing or drawing, if it's silence, I get a little worried. Okay. And, in TBR, we say the person doing the most talking is doing the most learning. And I think that's really important. Maybe someone can pop that in the chat. The person doing the most talking is doing the most learning. So in a regular classroom, who's usually doing the most talking?
Teacher.
The teacher. So who's doing the most learning? The teacher. And so, noise doesn't always equal chaos. So that's just something to keep in mind is that, yes, I love the noisometer to have that. This is where we are the level we're looking at for this activity. But I want us to also be a little bit mindful. Sometimes it's a paradigm shift, that a noisy classroom can also mean a lot of learning is happening and connection is happening. So I don't know, Katrina, if you want to add. I know we're just sticking to part one right now, but do you want to add to that?
Well, and I was even actually thinking about part two. So I agree with you both regarding, in the classroom, you want students up, rotating, moving around. It is a demonstration of how much knowledge that they are obtaining. So I'm just kind of going to move on to the next question, and that's regarding I think about the instructional design of your lesson. So when every student is saying they're done with their work, I think about the 4 C's. We know within a TBR, we have the connection and it ends with the conclusions. Well, I also think about in the middle, we have the concrete practice. So when I have students who are finished or who are done, there's always more concrete practice that they could really participate in. I used to call it something when I taught third grade, I called it done folders because my students would say, I'm done. And so I would say, well, grab your done folder because you have differentiated work within your folder. Maybe they need additional practice with their multiplication or long division or whatever it may be within my third grade classroom. But I would also ensure that those students knew how to access that extra work. And they didn't call it, actually, I didn't call it extra work. I just called it, supporting practice. And I would say, what do you want to work on? Oftentimes I would have that folder where those students will decide what they would like to put into the folder. So that can even be tied into the conclusion parts of the 4C with when students wanted to maybe summarize their work or add more details, evaluate their own work. And so I really did expand how much students were able to have like more of an identity with their done work folder. And eventually we started to name it, different things. Each academic year, we would turn it into a different type of folder. It could be differentiated support, but always having, I believe it's a balance, having students take ownership of what they want to do following when they're done with all of the assignments and activities within a lesson. And then on the other side, if you know that a student needs support in a particular area, subject, lesson, then allowing them to also participate in that extra practice. So thinking about, of course, the 4 C's instructional design, those 4 C areas, think about the middle, the last two, which would be the concrete practice and the conclusion when students are done with their work. So maybe since we're on part two, Ali, Joy, do you have anything to add? Have you ever done a done folder for students or had extra work for them?
Yeah, like it's a practice. And what I would like to say, like from the questions that we're getting, they finished early, the chaos, how to manage the group work. I would bring all of these questions to one word: routines. Spend time at the beginning of the year where you build these routines. And when it comes a routine, it's like when you brush your teeth and you get ready to go to school. Maybe the first few days, it's taking you 1 hour to get ready, but then later on, you're doing it in 15 minutes. And so the same thing inside the classroom. creating group works, rotating if you are using station, or someone who finished early. When you create these routines and you stick to them, because usually as adults, we change and let's bring something new and let's bring something new. Yes, we want that because it's one of the brain principles or one of the learning principles, but not the change into the dynamic and the culture you're creating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that chart that you added in that chat, Joy.
Sorry for the long Amazon links, but there's a link to like a sticker chart that's really inexpensive for
Yeah.
noise level. And then there's an expensive light technology one that actually monitors and the noise level of the room. So those are just,
We have a nice comment from GP. I'm curious about it. So let's invite him to open the mic.
yeah, I
What
don't
do
know
you
what
mean
sponge
by
activities
sponge
are.
activity?
So having optional activities people can do if they finish the main activity. So it basically sponge, I guess the idea is it kind of mops up any of the excess, right? So
Okay, I hadn't heard that term. So that was thank you for sharing that. I like that sponge activities.
Yeah.
Um, that was the two, I had two activities for my students when they finished early that they could choose. I love giving choice. They always had a personal book they were reading, so they could just take their book out that they read for enjoyment and read quietly, or they always had a creative writing notebook, and they could do some creative writing. And some kids were artists and they could draw and do some art. Like, isn't it okay to give them that time if they finish the work? Do we have to just stuff in more work? We don't have to stuff in more work, right? Give them that time to just do something they enjoy. Kids do better when they feel better. Giving them choice, giving them autonomy, and also giving them a little bit of downtime is going to help prevent that cognitive overload. And it's also going to keep them regulated.
I love that you said that, Joy, providing them with choice, because even with like my done folders I had with my third graders, I would even ask them, what would you like to do? And some of them would say nothing. They just wanted to sit there and absorb everything that they just learned. Or some of them would want to write notes back and forth to their neighbors so they can have like a silent, quiet conversation, which is practicing writing skills. So I would say that's fine, even though typically we know writing notes, we don't do that, right? But I would allow that. I would allow students to choose so that they have ownership of what they would like to do next. So I would say even ask even early childhood students, even first grade or kindergartners, what do you think you should do after you finish your work? What are some ideas? And they would give you some great ideas, and it would speak to you, and you would say, that's great to know that some students just need a brain break. They just need to sit in silence.
All right. Thank you for those thoughts. So we've covered learning is a bit messy and noisy, right? So those making the most noise and talking the most or doing the most learning. And then we've covered the done activities or the sponge activities to kind of soak up the extra time or even just taking a brain break. Okay, for our next one, this is going to be a fun one here. Um, how can you make sure that all of the students are meeting the expectations of the learning process? So, how do you make sure that your students are meeting the expectations with the engagement that you're offering?
Okay, I can give it a start. So know your students. And again, building relationships. So once I know that Joy really needs those brain breaks and she cannot sit for a 50-minute, I'm going to introduce some kind of breaks for her. And if I know that Katrina is someone who really needs manipulatives, and for the math, she cannot really see the abstract concepts without using her hands, then I need to make sure I have the manipulatives inside the classroom. So my answer would be, know who are your students.
Yeah. It
I
also,
like
Go
Please.
ahead, Katrina.
No, I was thinking knowing your students and understanding the type of assessment that you're providing, that you're allowing your students to participate in. Oftentimes we have different formative assessments that we give to our students. It could be a quiz, exit ticket, it could be a reflection, it could be where students are able to post something really quickly to, Google Classroom. So allowing a varied way to kind of demonstrate what the students know is kind of like my go-to, just because maybe during this one lesson, everyone is doing quizzes and they understand through the exit ticket, but not so much when I ask them to post an idea on, my idea wall. So oftentimes giving a varied way to assess learning. And also, this is a great way to add to their portfolios. Many of us use things like Seesaw. We use things like, especially within IB, you have maybe even an old school portfolio where you're putting work into their portfolio on the regular. And I would say I love a dynamic portfolio of what students have understood throughout a lesson, throughout a unit. So allowing them choice. And sometimes I come back to this, they will also tell you, can I draw it for you? Can I show you? Can I share this with you verbally? And then that way you're able to jot down some notes if they are sharing with you verbally, or if you're able to take a picture of something. So various ways to assess learning. So thank you for the question.
And I'm just gonna, you may or may not be able to see this clearly. It's okay if you can't. This is what we call the 4 C's map. Okay. And in the 4 C's maps, Ali is talking about connection, right? We always start with connection. And a big piece of that is understanding our students. And then there's teaching the contents. Our last 2 C's of the 4 C's map, the third C is concrete practice. So how do we know that they've met the expectation? They're going to have opportunities to practice, right? And we're going to be observing. And to go to what Katrina's sharing is that exit ticket, our fourth C is conclusions, right? And that's where learners summarize what they've learned, they evaluate it, they celebrate it, and they create action plans for how they're going to apply it. So this is all built into the framework. And it's a really kind of, oh, there we go. Thank you, Nicole. So Nicole just put an image of the 4 C's in the chat. Feel free to save that. Okay, and that's the framework that we're using as we go through. And we don't just give one way for them to practice. We do it in multiple ways so that even it's touching into the different ways in which kids learn and can express their learning. Same thing with the conclusions. We did a snowball fight. This was so much fun. I love doing snowball fights, and I'm going to give him credit for that because he gave me that idea of doing the snowball fight. And I've done it with 150 people in a room, and I just did it with 24. And everyone writes down either something they've learned, and again, you could do it as a connection at the beginning. What do you already know? And they can put it on, or you can do it at the end. But they all wrote a question down, and then we rolled it up into balls, and we threw it, and everyone kept throwing it and throwing it. And we didn't throw it at each other. That's really important. That's where the management comes in. We're throwing it up in the air, not at people, because they will throw it at each other, right? And so they throw it up and and then when you ring the bell, they pick up the closest one and they read it and they share it, right? And it's just a way to make, instead of just turn and talk to your partner, it makes it fun, it makes it interactive. And you can give them the option of writing something or drawing something, depending on their age, as long as, they could be interpreting drawings that other people draw. What does this mean? So, there's lots of ways that you can engage them and do that and assess it. Hope that helps.
Just to add to what Joy just mentioned, so it makes it fun, it makes it playful. The adults enjoy to play and the kids enjoy to play. And then it's a physical play, it's a movement. And so those are also great ideas to be embedded in your practices. So what's next, Nicole?
All right. So the next one is is something that I am interested in as well. I was a shy, quiet student. So the question is, how do you get shy or quiet students to participate?
Let's ask from you to answer it.
Well, you've already mentioned something that was very important that I would have appreciated as a shy, quiet student, and that is the right to pass on an
Mm,
activity. So the right to sit out and observe, and not have to participate. That would have been really helpful for me. What other ideas do you guys use with shy and quiet students?
Katrina.
I'm thinking back to, when we would all be in the classroom and the teacher would say, each person is going to read a paragraph in front of everyone. And I would sit there and count, like, okay, I'm the fourth one. We're going this way. So it's the fourth paragraph. And let me make sure that I don't mispronounce any words. And, I think back to that time when I asked students to participate. I see some thumbs up. So we've all been there, right? When I ask students to participate and they may not feel comfortable with it. So I think my go-to is relating to students, understanding that maybe reading is a great subject for you and you want to read and you can't wait until your teacher asks you to read out loud, but maybe you may feel a little bit of anxiety. And so I'll be a bit vulnerable and share with you, I've always had test anxiety. Always. I could know the information, I could understand the concept, but then when it's time to be tested on it, I would always have this type of anxiety. So keeping that number one in mind, that I'm a learner, I was a student before in the classroom, I was this age before. What can I do to ensure this is a safe learning space and that we are not judging students and putting them in a situation where we're setting them up to feel so much anxiety. So understanding them and understanding kind of our backgrounds and relating to students is number one. And the second, I would say, my go-to is providing them choice, because again, maybe I want to demonstrate my knowledge, by writing it, by modeling it. Maybe I may need extra time as well when it comes to completing an assignment. I do a lot of STEM activities with students, and there's different STEM cycles. But when it's time to demonstrate their knowledge, right, evaluate whether it's creating something and they have to ensure that it works or anything like that, I would ask students, how would you like to be evaluated? There's always a criteria, there's always information there, but how would you like to be evaluated? And sometimes they would create it a little bit more, challenging or more, hard as an evaluation than I even assign. So providing voice and choice for students, I think is a great way to just kind of open up the classroom space to be a little bit more flexible with learners, and understanding that students learn in different ways as well. So yeah, I would say keeping that in mind, and think about the story of when it's your time to read in class, a paragraph out loud. How do you feel? All right, thanks. I'll pass it along. Joy Ali.
I, I'm going to piggyback if you don't mind, Katrina, because
Sure.
you mentioned vulnerability. And I think vulnerability is a really powerful way to connect. So I also had learning differences. I am ADHD, dyslexic, dyspraxic, dyscalculia. I have it all. And I didn't know it till I was in my 30s. So I really struggled. And I can see even now as an adult learner how these things come up. Um, I interrupt a lot, not because I'm a rude person. I don't mean to be rude, because my thoughts go so quickly. The reason I'm not interrupting is because I'm writing it down so I don't forget. And that happens very much with an ADHD brain, right? Like we have a thought, we got to get it out because we're going to lose it, not because we think our thought is more important than others, right? So understanding those differences is very, very important. Giving those kids, having every student have a little parking lot post-it pile next to them where they can write down thoughts and questions is a really helpful tool, especially for the ones that do shout out. I want to go back to what Nicole shared about the right to pass. The right to pass is a huge tool when it comes to connection and safety. And people always ask me, but Joy, I always have the same kid that's passing, 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 right? And that's a little bit of an escape. So how do we balance it out where they're feeling safe, but they're also feeling safe enough to and encouraged enough to participate? There's a few things that really are helpful with more introverted folks. One of the things is typically processing time, right? Giving them a little bit more time to process. And one of the ways you can do that, and I know it doesn't sound like time because we call it a quick write or a quick draw. It means it's just a couple of minutes where they can write down their thoughts before sharing. And it works for everyone. So do a quick write, do a quick draw where, and I believe, Ali, did you do this with us yesterday or was it Kelly? I think Kelly
Uh,
did a quick that
yeah,
she
I didn't attend the Kelly session.
yeah. So Kelly had done that for her session where she had us, just write before we went into breakout rooms and shared. So giving that process time, letting them write is really powerful. The other thing, and I saw that someone shared, Mace, you shared, I have them interact with a partner, right? So that it's not in a big group. I'm going to build on that a little bit. Typically, we have them do a pair share and they're sitting there looking at each other. That can also feel a little vulnerable. One of the tools that I love, and my participants have loved it, we call a walk and talk. And when you do a walk and talk, you're getting movement in and you're walking side by side. You're not staring the person in the eye. So it feels a little bit less like you're on the spot and you're just having a casual walk around the room and you're chatting. So it helps with the safety and the comfort level. So there's a lot of little quick tools that you can apply that really help those kids who might feel less comfortable to share. Ali, you want to build on that?
For me, giving time, and so yesterday we modeled really a nice strategy with GP because it can also take place virtually. Write in the chat, but don't click enter. And so you allow everyone to think, and then after those kind 30-second, 1 minute thinking time, you let everyone share. The other option, there is a very nice strategy that I use. So imagine, so we are sitting in a circle, and I know that, let's say Nicole is a shy student. I give each one of you two pencils. And so when you want to talk, you need to use your pencil. So it's like the right to speak. It's like your microphone. And so Joy is very fast. She used the first two pencils and now she needs to sit silent and quiet. So she really knows when to interfere and then when to put her voice out. And the exercise will finish when everyone used the two pencils. And so when Nicole will feel that she's ready as a shy student, she's going to take the lead, use her pencil, and she might be the last one to use the pencils and to take the lead. But again, I created a kind of a safe environment and I gave an equal opportunity to everyone.
Very nice. All right, we have about 10 minutes left, and we've been sitting, not moving for a little while. So let's do something together. We're going to do movement, myth, or fact. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm going to come up with a statement, share it with you. If you think it is fact or if it is true, I'd like you to make a T with your hands or your arms. If you think it is false or not true, you're going to make an X. Okay, so we're going to cover some of the things that we just chatted about. So to help our shy, quiet students, we should get them in front of the room and ask them to speak in front of everybody. Is that a yes or a no? Okay, I'm seeing lots of no's. Thank you. We appreciate that. So, one of the strategies to get your shy, quiet learners to start talking is to start with a low risk partner conversation, maybe even where they're walking next to each other instead of looking at each other face to face. Do we think that is true or a yes, or do we think that's a no? So, low risk partner conversation that involves movement. We think that's a true. Very good. All right, one more here. Let's see. One other thing we can do to encourage our quiet, shy students is to give them choice and to give them the opportunity to pass if they need to. Is that true or is that a no? Yes, that's a true. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, let's see what we have next here. The next voted question is, can you can you share a challenge which turned into a new activity? So this is a slightly harder one. Hopefully you guys have some thoughts on this one. Can you share a challenge that you had in the classroom that turned into a new activity?
I'm waiting. I do have one, but I'm waiting. I'm holding my pencil down. I do have one though, if you want.
Please share, Joy. Yes, please.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Joy.
So we had a challenge, obviously, with lack of engagement and motivation and movement. I'm going to pull these up here if I can. And okay, there we go. And I love giving students jobs. Like I love giving them responsibility. One, I'm going to tell you because it's totally selfish. I want to make my job easier. Why wouldn't you want to make your job easier? So when you turn things over to your students, you have less responsibility. And guess what you're doing? You're doing two things. You're developing their skills. Okay. They build skills when they have more responsibility. And two, you're actually meeting one of their basic emotional needs, which is the need to feel significant, the need to have a sense of purpose, the need to contribute. So it's a win-win. They are filling their need of contribution and they're building skills, and your job is easier. Who wouldn't want that, right? So when I was thinking, okay, we got to get the kids moving more, instead of me saying, I'm going to go research all these well-being breaks. I call them well-being breaks because they're not just brain breaks. They're not just for the brain, they're for like the whole body. So instead of me going and researching them, and I know AI can now do it very quickly for you, I turned it over to my students. Instead of me having to be up in front of the room and teaching them, I turned it over to my students. They taught each other. So over the years, I collected many, many of these. And if it's okay, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Okay. I don't know if you can see can you see my screen? Okay, so these are whole body breaks, and there's like 48 different there are 48 different things with characters, and then it gives the instructions. You print them up, it's on the front and the back. So these are all different, and there's blank ones to create your own. Some of them are energizers. These ones are mindfulness for regulation. So there's lots of different. I know I'm going through them quickly, okay, but um, these are connectors, okay. So you can see lots of different activities. And the reason I share this is because, very often we think, oh, preparation time, oh, we have to do it. But my students did this. My students created these. I just compiled them and put them all together. So that challenge of, kids are sitting too long and there's not enough movement. And how do I do this quickly? And how do we put this into a routine? It turned into something that I had a student, they're like, okay, 20 minutes. Boom. It was their job to say 20 minutes. It was their job to lead it. And we had them on a key ring and they would choose one and they would lead it. Boom, we get back into the activity. So when you have challenges, focus on solutions. And guess what? Get the students involved in those solutions because when they're involved in the solutions, there's buy-in and they come up with better solutions than we do most of the time.
Thank you, Joy. I love that. I love that. I think I'll go next. I'm thinking about what I shared with you all earlier about how I love STEM activities. And I'll share with you when I tried to do STEM with preschoolers, which they can. Actually, it was KG2. I was a KG2 teacher in the UAE. And I decided for my evaluation, actually, I was being evaluated by my AP. I was going to do STEM because it incorporates everything. Well, we were using my entire team. I was the team lead at the time. We were using the five E system. So that's engage, explore, explain, et cetera, right? That worked great later on in my career when I was, teaching older grade levels. But it was quite tricky and a little embarrassing when I really couldn't work my way around the entire cycle, throughout the lesson or during the lesson that I was being evaluated on. So really, I mean, it gave me so much anxiety. We know how we feel when, we're being evaluated, but also how it feels. It doesn't feel too good when our students don't understand the concept. Like it just looked like my students were playing at this point. So what I did is I decided to go to my team members. I decided to say, we're all doing STEM. We're all doing STEM. Some of us are doing STEAM, adding in the art component. What cycle are we using, and what works for your students that I could possibly incorporate in mine? So it was a team of 12 classes, and really everyone was doing something different. We knew the concept was pretty much the same, but our cycle looked different. And mine, was a little too complex for my activities. I think it would be best probably if I used it in, upper elementary. So I would say I was leaning on my colleagues to just kind of show me the way. And we took an entire unit to actually experiment with these different cycles. Ultimately, I ended with one very simple. It was observe, develop, test, and conclusion. That was it. And I tested it on creating like a model airplanes where students were able to say, why isn't mine flying? It was ultimately we wanted to test it and ensure that, each airplane would fly. And we kind of incorporated a lot of our ATL skills within our STEM as well, since it was an IB school. So I would say, if something's not working, more than likely the person next door to you have some tools, have some tips. If they're not next door to you, maybe across the hall, maybe KG, 2 or KG 1, or maybe grade 1 may have some ideas. So I would say that was my go-to is if something's not quite working, go to a peer and just ask another educator what works for you. And I was ultimately, if you are curious, I was ultimately able to redo my observation because I did not like my scores. Kind of gave up mid E when it came to that 5E STEM cycle. So lean on your peers. We're all educators and we're all able to support each other with different tools and strategies.
So I would go for again. It's almost like the end of this Ask Me Anything, and the beauty of the TBR community is we're here to support each other. So Joy shared with you a gift with a 50% discount. I'm going to share with you a free resource, which is also available on my website, a bank of strategies, because teachers are always on the look of strategies, and this is something challenging for them. And so I collected my favorite strategies. I've put them in a nice guide that you can print, you can put it on display, and then try these strategies, use these strategies as a routine. And then this will be, again, our welcome kind of a gift to the TBR community. We have Heartbeat. I'm sure Nicole will invite you also to join the community where we can share challenges and we can find solutions together and we can think together. So that's all from my side. Nicole, back to you. You're on mute, Nicole. I'm not sure
Thank you for that. So a huge thank you for joining us today. We will share these resources with you by email, and we've mentioned a lot about community, and we have a great community here. So we'll invite you to that as well. But thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Great to see you. Thanks for being here with us. And thank you to Nicole for organizing all of this.
Yes, thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Shall we
Thank
tell
you,
them what
Ali
to
and
say
Joy as well.
next?
Thank you so much for your ideas and your input.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Nicole, what's next in the TBR festival? Because maybe some of the people, they just heard about this session. So what's on the program?
That is my session in an hour. about saving time and designing impactful lessons.
Awesome.
So many
If
of
you
you are
enjoyed the
signed up.
session, yeah, if you enjoyed this session, continue looking at what's happening next in our TBR festival that is happening, and we'll continue tomorrow, right, Nicole?
Yes, with a
Yeah.
two World Cafe sessions where we can chat about important topics.
This is the link for registration, and then feel free to spread it. It's open for everyone.
And JP also put in the chat, there's a link to join the TBR community there on
Yes.
so it's a shared community, shared resources. So you can join that.
And it's free.
It's free to stay in touch. So hopefully we'll see you all again. Um, I know some of you look like you're going to go to sleep because it's late where you are.
Yes.
Me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.